miniature iron ring should get the job done. Nope, that one won't work because it's broken. That one looks like it turns. Prevent that hose from twisting. So I'm going to raise this whole assembly up and detach my vial. See how that just sits there, can't come off. So there's my 3.2 milliliters of methyl cyclohexane. And now I want to add the 0.4 milliliters of sulfuryl chloride. And because sulfuryl chloride is kind of nasty stuff, I'm going to don some gloves to do that. So this will fume a little bit in the moist air. So I'm 0.4 milliliters sulfuryl chloride. That's about right. I'm going to add that really carefully. And I'm going to set this in the beaker and we'll rinse that with water. So that we can reuse our syringe and needle. Alright, so that's in there. And I want to add my 30 milligrams of benzoyl peroxide that I masked out. I had 33 milligrams, a little bit of it sticking, but there was a little bit of extra stuck. So I've got my benzoyl peroxide in there. I'm now going to attach that to the reaction assembly and lower it back down into the heating block. So now I can turn the stir plate on and I can begin my stirring. I'm going to turn that up about 600, so it's stirring pretty vigorously. And so there it is, stirring suspension with the benzoyl peroxide and my sulfuryl chloride and methyl cyclohexane. I'm going to put a thermometer in that little hole, so I want that hole to be clear of the system, so I'm going to rotate that around like that. Start my water flow. Not too vigorously, and I always hang it there so I can see it. Make sure that the flow is at a good flow rate. So my assembly is looking good. And I'm going to grab a thermometer. I'm going to use the one with the blue, which is a 260 degree 225 degree thermometer, and I'll stick that back in there like that so we can know what the temperature is of our hot block. And that one looks like it fits a little too tight. I don't want it to break. Let's see if I can get a better one. from a different hood. That's a better fit. Okay. So now we're going to heat that up. I'm going to turn this up to about 200 for now so that it can get up to temperature relatively quickly because we want it to be refluxing. And while I'm waiting for that, I'm going to go and get a Hickman still because we need one of those when we're doing our distillation. And that one looks like a good one. Yep. So this is a Hickman still, standard taper 1410, and what you'll see is it's got a little well here. Right? You can see that the inner piece goes up a little bit into there. So the little well there, the thing will condense on the condenser and drip down the sides and fill that well, and I'll be able to reach in with a pipette and get it out the side. I've got a cap with a nice Teflon lining, and so that'll be able to seal tightly. And I can go ahead and put my, oops, lost my O-ring. I can go ahead and put my O-ring on there so that it's ready to go when I need it. So there's my Hickman still, all prepared. And the other thing I need is I need a 3 milliliter conical vial, which is what I'm going to collect my distillate in. I might as well get that out while I'm waiting. There's one that's actually got calibration, 3 milliliters. And into that is going to go some potassium carbonate so that any excess acid that's produced gets quenched by the potassium carbonate. And I'm going to need a septum cap for that. These caps do double duty in addition to holding the reaction mixture, or holding the pieces together so the reaction mixture doesn't come out. They also work in conjunction with these rubber or Teflon and silicone septa to seal up a vial tightly. So there's two sides to this. You can see that kind of white one there, and then the kind of ambery color. The white is the Teflon. You can tell it's Teflon because if I put my fingernail in it, that crease kind of stays there, whereas on the silicone side it bounces back. And you can also look at it on the side. The Teflon is the thinner of the layers. So that goes in with the Teflon side pointing up, or sorry, the silicone side pointing up, so the Teflon is towards my product. So that's the right way up. Silicone on the top, Teflon towards the product. And it's going to connect like that. So that will be where I store my product after I do the distillation. I'll set that aside for now. So we're just waiting for this to reach temperature so it starts refluxing. We're up to 60 so far. And you can use a spatula to move those in and out so we can actually see what's going on in there. It'll start bubbling at some point. And while I'm waiting, I can dispose of my filter paper or weighing paper, Kim wipe. And now's a good time to rinse out my syringe with water. To quench any of that extra sulfuryl chloride. HCl and sulfuric acid will rapidly react with the metal to make that syringe needle useless if I don't clean it fairly promptly. Fill that syringe all the way up. And I can clean my benzoyl peroxide off as well. So then we'll take that syringe apart and let it dry before we put that away. And I'll just wipe this down with a Kim wipe, the one that I found on the floor earlier. Benzoyl peroxide is a radical initiator. It's commonly used in acne medication as well to disrupt the bacterial cell wall. Put that away. Done with the pipette bulbs. And since those fit on pretty tightly, I didn't need these tubing clamps, so I can put that back as well. While we're waiting, I can also put a label on there. We're up to 120. Looks like it might be starting to bubble a little bit. And I can put a label on my vial. I'll call it chlorides. You'll use your lot number, whatever page of your notebook you're in. And I can tape that on there, so I got a record of what's in this vial. My products. So we're bubbling pretty nicely. We're up to 130 degrees. I'm going to back that off a little bit so I don't get too hot. All right, we're boiling away. I'm seeing a little bit of condensate forming in here. Once again, I don't want my reflux line to go too high. And I should start to see some bubbling. Maybe a little bit of gas coming out of there at some point. So that's going to reflux for half an hour. And I'm going to turn off the camera and be back.